Welcome back to Latin 2. And, well, actually, just welcome back to Latin. Now it's the beginning of the semester and time for Latin 2. Today this will be the video for Wheelock chapter 21, but before we get into that, I wanted to review what the procedure, every week, what your procedure will be for Latin this term. So the first thing that we're going to do is, each Monday, as announced, we'll have an 11 o'clock a.m. live session like we did last semester. But these sessions on Mondays will only be as announced, and they'll only be to work on translations. Because as we move through Latin 2, we're going to have a much stronger focus on translating the Latin sentence and becoming more comfortable with that. We're getting close to being kind of done with forms, and the forms that we keep learning, the grammar that we keep learning will be, won't be as new to you. So we'll be working more on translations. So every week, check your email, look at the updated course schedule as to whether or not we'll have one of these live translation workshops on Mondays at 11. So for every week, though, on Monday and Tuesday, you're going to need to watch the video lessons for the week's work. You need to make your flashcards for the forms and vocabulary and study them. And I want you to do this, to watch the videos, digest what they have to say about the grammar that we're learning, and make those flashcards and begin studying. Do that for a couple of days. Have a couple of days where you're just studying the vocabulary and the forms before you do the written translation work. I'll be taking grades periodically on the translation work. That might just take the place of a quiz. Might have we'll see how that works out. But I want a much stronger focus on translation work this term. So set aside some time on Wednesday or Thursday to do the translation work as it is assigned in the videos. So for example, each week we'll have a lesson, a video on the lesson. So this is going to be the video in chapter 21. Then this video will end. We'll have a second video for chapter 21 just dealing with the translation work that I'll assign at the end of this video. And then, like last term, on Fridays we'll have an online quiz at 11 o'clock. But again, this term they'll focus much more on translations, kind of walking you through that step-by-step process. Find the verb. Is there a nominative? Is there an accusative? Putting everything together and so forth. All right, chapter 21. We're learning the passive indicative forms for the present and future. So I'm on page 169 in Wheelock, and you can see that it's very straightforward. Again, you might be a little rusty coming back from semester, but you already know these endings. You know these or, ris, to, or, more, many, into, or endings. And so I'm going to bring up, instead of agor, which is what you have on page 169, I'm going to bring up ducor. But you can see it's the same endings, that or, ris, to, or, more, many, into, or, ris, to, or, more, many, into, that you already know from the first and second conjugations. Notice this is a tricky form. The second person singular, you lose the I and it goes to an E. That's something to note when you make your flashcards. So this is the third conjugation. And then there's the fourth conjugation, audio. And that one doesn't lose the I. It keeps the I there. Audior, audiris, auditur, audimor, audimini, audiuntur in the present. And then the third conjugation, I stem, they use incipior. Your book has capior. Notice it also has the E because it's third conjugation, just like ducor or agor. So if we take a look at audio, what do these mean? So audior, this is the present indicative passive. So this is I am being heard. Audiris, you are being heard. Auditur, it is being heard. Audi more, we are being heard. Y'all are being heard. They are being heard. Okay. And we're also learning the future. So this column. Again, the endings, or the endings you know, are ris, tour, more, many, intour. They're the same, those same personal endings all through the passive. How do I recognize the future? Well, in the fourth conjugation, it's pretty easy. It's got this two vowels in a row here. This I, A in the first person singular. And then for the rest of it, this I, E. So audiar is I will be heard. Audieris, you will be heard. Audietur, it will be heard, and so forth. In the third conjugation, like agar or here dukar, I've got that A in the first person singular, and then this long, in Latin pronounced A, for a long E. So dukar, ducaris, ducatur, ducamur, ducamini, ducentur. I will, this dukars, I will be led. You will be led, it will be led, and so forth. And then the third conjugation, I stem, like copiar was what you have in your book, or here in kipiar. Again, it's got the IE to let you know you're in the future. Okay. And then the imperfect. Like all the other imperfects, it's got the bar, that B in there to let you know you're in the imperfect. Bar, baris, bader, bamini, bantur for the third conjugation. And the connecting vowel there is the E. Third conjugation, I stem. The connecting vowel, again, you get both letters, the I and the E, but then, bar, baris, bader, bamini. Again, very easy to identify as the imperfect. Fourth conjugation, the two vowels together, and then bar, baris, batur, and so forth. So the endings the things to keep straight are the different ways the connecting vowels work. So just looking at audior here, in the present, it's got the I. In the imperfect, it's got the IE, and then, of course, the bar endings. And in the future, it's got the IE. In the first person singular, it's got the IA. So that's one thing to keep straight. For the third conjugation, again, just the endings for the present makes sense. Got the A bar and A ris. So again, simply a matter of the forms needing to be learned. Oh, we didn't do a translation for the imperfect. Of course, it's I was being led, you were being led, and so forth. Okay. And then also on page 170, you can see you need to learn the passive infinitives. So to be heard, audiri, to be led, agi, to be taken, copy. So the passive infinitive ends in E. You now know all the indicative verb forms. So on page 170 there, you can see the synopsis of the present, all six tenses, present, future, imperfect, perfect, future perfect, and pluperfect, and you know them for both the active voice and the passive voice. So, and then the rest of it is simply vocabulary. On page 171, obviously you need to make your cards for those vocabulary words. So, a lot of forms in chapter 21. No new concepts, but certainly a lot of forms for you to tackle. Now, so on Monday and Tuesday, the beginning of this week, I'd like you to work on, make the vocabulary cards, make the verb form cards, so you'll have all these present, imperfect, and future passive for the third conjugation, third I stem conjugation, and fourth conjugation. Get all those put together and begin studying them. And then when you get to Wednesday and Thursday, I would like you to work on let's just do 1, 2, and 3. On page 172, the exercitaciones, numbers 1, 2, and 3. So page 172, exercises 1 through 3. I'd like you to work on translations for those. And again, for each one, and again, we're going to have a video on this in just a bit. For each one, you should have listed out the verb and then parse it. And then, for sentence 1, you'll have that. And then part B, does it have a nominative? C, does it have an accusative or an agent if it's a passive verb? And then, working through your whole translation. So that's how, again, I'll go over this in the video in just a moment. But that's what I'd like you to work on Wednesday and Thursday before you watch the video that will give you the corrections for those translations 1, 2, and 3. All right, so get cracking on those flashcards, and then when we get to Wednesday, Thursday, watch the video for the translations.